So let's speak Squarespace form blocks. In this video right here, I will be showing you how you can add the form block on Squarespace, also showing you basically everything you need to know about it, and also showing you how you can customize it very easily on your Squarespace website. So over at Squarespace, the form block is this block right here. So let's get that added on to our Squarespace website. Now, the first thing that you will see is it's very basic, right? It's going to have some of the elements filled in. And as I said, we're going to talk about everything. So when I double click on the Squarespace form block, firstly, what it's going to do is take me inside this tab right here. And here you have content, design, and storage. First of all, let's talk about content. So the first thing you have is form name. And basically what this is the name that you call the form. And what I would recommend is actually naming this form unique to what page is on. For example, if this is the form that you have on the home page, just call it something like home page contact form, for example. And if it's on the About Us page, call that About Us page. When then somebody would fill in the form, you will then get a notification saying that, oh, it's from the home page or the About Us page. And if you're interested in that sort of data, it's just great to have. And also when you get the email from Squarespace saying that, hey, you've got a form, you will see on which page that form has been submitted. So going further down here, then you have the button text. Personally, I just like that to have submit, but if you're going to use the form so for something else, like give me a free PDF or anything you thought you would create it for, just change that to what it's going to be. Then you have the edit form fields, and it will be standardized with the name, email, subject, and message, but you can see here that you have a lot of opportunities to actually create a big and complex form here if you need to get those sort of information added on. So you can get names, you can get checkboxes, you can even do surveys, their websites, a line you can add. So you can add a lot of things in here. For example, let's say you run a modeling agency and you want them to sort of like put up some images of themselves. You can also do that. Or if they need to upload a file to your form, you can also do that. So play a little bit around with this. I'm not going to show you everything here, but because it's very straightforward. One thing I would also like to show you though is that you will see here on the email that it will always automatically have the sign up for news and updates. And if you're not going to run newsletters in the near future, I would just toggle this off. And simply then what you would want to do is head in here. And you will also see here that when you click on all of the different ones, you have a little bit of some options as well. You can add in the description, the placeholder text. You'll see here that you have the possibility to make them required or not, meaning that they will have to actually put this in order to submit the form. Then they have the email sign up here, which I talked about originally. And if you don't want to sign up for news and updates, just toggle that off and you will not be signed up for those things. So going further down here, you will see that you have the post submit. And basically what that is, it is the view that the users are going to see after they have submitted the form. And personally, I would maybe try to change this a little bit around. Maybe write like, hey, we're going to reach back to you within 24 hours. If you have some additional questions, you can call us at this number, or make it a little bit more personalized if you like. I think that is a good way to do it. You can also even redirect them. So let's, for example, say they had to fill in a form to maybe get access to a PDF or a file or a document. You can redirect them to that document right after. So that's also a very powerful way of doing it. You can also see here that you have the possibility to add some HTML if you want that to be in the submit message as well, alignment, and basic positioning as well. So I would recommend that you actually set that up for your form as well. Heading over to design, you will see here that on the design tab, you have the possibility to assign it a form style. And these are form packs that Squarespace have automatically on there or that are natively to Squarespace. You can, for example, choose around something with these that maybe match with your design, but you can also actually change that around yourself, which I will show in a very short moment as well. Then you have the button style, so you can change between the button, for example, if you want it to be a secondary button or T3 button, depending on what sort of styles you have to it. You have the button alignment. Then you have something called first input highlight, and basically what that is, it's going to highlight the first input. Then you have the possibility to lightbox it, meaning that you can click on this form and it's going to open a form in sort of like a lightbox. I can show you how that looks. It's going to look like this. When they click it, you're going to get the form. And that is quite a good option. I've used that a lot for my clients when they wanted that functionality. But let's just take that off. And you saw that you had the possibility to change the button text there as well. Then you have the possibility to assign a background. I would personally always do this. I think that is the best way to do it. I think that it gives a better vibe and a better look to that form, but you can choose around yourself. You can choose between that background, or maybe even if you want to have a slightly different background, you can, for example, put a shape block behind it as well. Then you have the possibility to change the background color, assign a stroke to it as well, if that's something you like. Then corner radius, I usually like to have that as well. So let's just put that at 10, which I always do. And you can see what that basically does. It gives a border radius on it right there. So sort of like a slight curve there. Then you have the possibility to change the padding for it as well, between the small, medium, large. And you can also change it yourself with the right and top and bottom left. So check that out as well if that's something you want. But I'm just going to have that at medium. Then you have blend mode, which is sort of like a filter option to it if you want to do that. If you want to, for example, have it like that. But again, this is something you also should try yourself out if that's something you really like. And then you have the possibility to blur it as well. I don't usually use that function that much, but you have the possibility as well if you want to play around with it. Then, as I talked about before, we sort of like talk about the more customization of the form, you have the storage option. And basically what this is, it adds it to a storage, basically meaning that whenever we get an email form, you're going to get an email notification to your own email. So please make sure to actually change that to your email. Also, if you're a website designer, please just change that, because otherwise you're going to get email notifications every single time someone then submits a form for one of your client websites. So I've done that mistake myself a couple of times, and it's not that fun. Other than that, you have the possibility to add additional storage, and you have the possibility to assign it to Google Drive, Zapier, and also MailChimp if you have some automations there that you want to run. And then you have the Google Recap DAO, which I would just recommend to have on, but you have the possibility to also turn it off if you'd like. Then you have the possibility to click this. What that's basically going to do is it's going to check for every single submit that you have gotten. And it's also a good way to get a full picture of all of the different ones. And what you would want to be doing is maybe checking this a little bit regularly and see if you have gotten an email or if you have gotten a form submitter. Then I said that I would show you quickly how you can design it yourself. And maybe you noticed when we click on the design styles here, or the form styles, that you have the possibility to edit form styles. Now, what that's going to do, it's going to open up the site styles, and you're going to have the option here to actually change things around yourself. So again, you have the different form packs, which we went through in the beginning here. You have the possibility to change between field shape. You can do this or this, and maybe even also assign it a custom corner. Then you can put on something called field fill, and basically what that would do is add a field fill color that you can assign later in the coloring section for it. Then you have the possibility to toggle the border and also assign it a little bit more thickness. So let's say, for example, you want to have a bit more thickness on these borders as well, you can do that. Then again, you have the padding possibility here as well, if you want to change that around. Then we have something called effects. And basically what that's going to do is assign it like a hover focus. Maybe you want it to scale, maybe you want it to be labeled or anything like that. You can change that around yourself as well. Then you have the submit button validation. And when I click on that, you can see that that's sort of like what's going to be seen when the user actually clicks submit. So personally, I would maybe change that to something cool. And I find it quite cool to do. Going further down here, you have the selection options. And what that's going to do is you have the possibility to change around the checkboxes, the radio, and also the survey stuff there. So if you're into that and you have that on your form, I would check those out as well and see if there's any possibility there for you to maybe make it a little bit more of what you'd like. Then we have fonts, and basically what that is, it's giving you the possibility to different font sizes to the form. Personally, I just like to have it as it is, but if you want to have a bigger text or a different font, you can check that out yourself. And you can see here that you have the possibility to basically change between all of the different options here. Then you have the colors, and what's that going to do is it's going to open up the color tabs. And basically what you then want to do is cross-check that this coloring right here, which is the color theme that you are using on this page, actually matches with this. So the changes are real if that's something you want. So of course, then just have a look around with this and see that everything looks as it should be with all of the different colorings. There's a lot of options here, but you'll get the hang of it when you try it a little bit yourself to see if there's anything that you need to change there. And then finally, you have the form spacing, which is basically going to assign spacing between the forms and this and that, if that's something you want to do as well. I guess that was it for this video. It was quite a long video, but this is basically everything you need to know about the Squarespace form block. You can also, of course, change things around with custom code if that's something you want to do as well. But this video was all about what you can natively do on Squarespace. And I hope you found this video useful. And if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you want me to build your Squarespace website, the links are down below. And as always, have a great day.